Hello, I'm Brian Smith and welcome to my office. My seminars are about the evolution of the life sciences industry, pharma and medtech, and its strategies and its business models. So if that's what interests you, then please like and subscribe, but most of all, please share this with a friend or a colleague who shares your interest. If you'd like to know more about my research in this area, then my 8 books and my 300 other publications, then there's a link in the notes below to contact me. And if you would especially like the article on this seminar, then stick around to the end of the seminar and I'll tell you how you can get hold of that PDF. I've always loved learning. It's what made me be an R&D scientist, then it made me move from being a marketer and strategist to being an academic researcher. And now, all those years after leaving full-time education, learning still strongly influences my advisory work. Every year I look back on my consulting projects and compare how they worked out for my clients. Sometimes I learn ways to improve what I do. This year, my review process taught me something that I really want to share with you. Although I don't like to admit it, I'm not the most important factor in my clients' projects. I try to add value, of course, and I turn down projects where I can't add value. But in reality, the success of a project, whether it's a launch or a strategy review or an executive coaching program, depends largely on how the project was defined and the efforts of that client. If my client's projects were movies, I might be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but I'd never be the star. And that's fine with me, and it doesn't stop me from trying to deserve an Oscar nomination anyway. But it does mean that when I look back and review projects, I don't just think about how I played my part. I consider factors like whether the client was committed to the project and if there was something that pulled it off track, like one of those restructures that come along more often than peak time buses these days. My projects are very varied. They involve pharma and medtech companies of different sizes, of operating in diverse markets and selling to similar technologies. But it's hard to draw comparisons between them. But in this annual review, a clear, stark comparison leapt out at me, as if I'd been doing some huge A/B test on what kind of projects work and which don't. Some of my projects had delivered real, substantial gains for the client. Others had met the brief but hadn't translated into demonstrable improvements in their performance. This worried me, so I looked to see if there was something that explained why some projects were more successful than others. None of the obvious factors seemed to make a difference, and then, comparing the initial briefs, the answer leapt out at me. I'm used to cliched management speak, and I try to look past it, and I search in the briefs for how they want the world to be different as a result of working with me. But in the projects that had not delivered real change, one fashionable word leapt out: transformation. Every one of the less successful projects talked in terms of radical change, disruption, and greatly overused that T word. By contrast, the genuinely successful projects talked about incremental improvements, adapting current processes, and building on past success. The difference in language between these two groups was very clear. So whilst one kind of project sought to take steps towards the future, the other sought to take giant leaps. To use the jargon of evolutionary scientists, my clients fell into two groups: the gradualists, who built on small, successful steps, and the saltationists, who love the word transformation and try to make big leaps forward. So what's the practical lesson that you can draw from this? It's not that firms shouldn't try to make big changes as their market changes around them. It's not even that they should try to make changes slowly because the pace of the change has to match the pace of the change of the market. But there are actually two lessons to draw. First is that firms should make changes in many small steps by building on what already works and fixing what could work better. Second, transformational leaps that discount and displace what is working tend to fail. Importantly, gradualism doesn't have to be slow or limited. It achieves the same goals as discontinuous transformative change, with more certainty and often faster. I found this to be true in all kinds of projects: cultural change, strategy revisions, launch plans, digitally based omnichannel projects, and even leadership behaviours. The correlation between success and evolutionary gradualism, rather than revolutionary transformation, is very strong, but it's not just correlation. The causal mechanism is that gradual processes, because they build on what's already there, they understand the problem better by using existing knowledge, and they keep in mind what already works, those things reduce the need to make assumptions. In a very real sense, gradual evolutionary projects learn from and adapt to signals from the environment, like the feedback you get from customers and from colleagues. Disruptive transformational projects can't listen to feedback in the same way because they change so much at the same time. Evolution beats transformation. And it may sound like a cautious, conservative option, but ironically you need to be braver to take a gradual approach. That's because the culture in most life science companies, which are filled with bright young people with a passion for the new and the latest science, is profoundly pro-transformation and often against evolutionary gradualism. To take many baby steps towards your goals instead of big leaps takes the bravery to go against that culture. But in my experience, and billions of years of biological evolution tell us this too, it's that most pharma and medtech firms would be better using the T word, transformation, less, and using the E word, evolution, more. Thanks for your interest in my work. If you'd like my article about curing corporate cancer, then mail me and I'll gladly send it to you. Or if you'd like to know more, then let's set up a virtual cup of tea. And please share this seminar with your colleagues, either directly or by LinkedIn.